Welcome to Lighthouse KinShip's devotional video, Stress Fracture. Let God enlarge you when you are going through distress. He can do it. You can't do it, and others can't do it for you. Warren Wiersbe. Matthew chapter 6, verse 31 and 33, Amplified. Therefore, do not worry or be anxious, perpetually uneasy, distracted, saying, what are we going to eat? Or what are we going to drink? Or what are we going to wear?
But first and most importantly, seek, aim at, strive after His kingdom and His righteousness, His way of doing and being right, the attitude and character of God, and all these things will be given to you also. Today is Sunday, October 9th, 2022. Monica and I are here at the Three Amigos Covered Bridge in Pauli, Indiana, and Pauli is spelled P-A-O-L-I. This bridge was built in 2000 and it crosses Lick Creek.
What is a stress fracture? That was my question to the doctor September 2008, days after Bobby and my anniversary and a couple of weeks before my 50th birthday, who told me that I had a stress fracture on my right ankle and I had broken my left ankle, which I now have screws in. I also had torn the ligaments in my left leg, which resulted in breaking that bone, and now I have a plate in my left leg. Stress fracture, tiny cracks in a bone. What about our hearts? Can we have stress fracture within our hearts?
Psalm 25, verses 16 to 20, Amplified. Turn to me, Lord, and be gracious to me, for I am alone and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are multiplied. Bring me out of my distresses. Look upon my affliction and my trouble, and forgive all my sins. Look upon my enemies, for they are many. They hate me with cruel and violent hatred. Guard my soul and rescue me. Do not let me be ashamed or disappointed, for I have taken refuge in you.
The stress fracture that happened in 2008 to my right ankle required a splint for several weeks. Then I needed the walking boot for several more weeks for continual protection. However, the stress fracture to my heart is more intense and painful than the stress fracture I experienced to my right ankle. Reading a devotional from Chuck Swindoll, October the 10th, I was able to put words to this intense physical, emotional pain that has been living in my heart since 2013. My heart is being pulled in different directions. I am being pulled apart from within. This intense physical and emotional pain is ripping me apart internally. 1 Samuel chapter 30, David is being ripped apart internally.
1 Samuel 30, verses 1 to 4, New King James. Now it happened, when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag, attacked Ziklag and burned it with fire, and had taken captive the women and those who were there. From small to great they did not kill anyone, but carried them away and went their way. So David and his men came to the city, and there it was, burned with fire, and their wives, their sons, and their daughters had been taken captive. Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep.
David was already experiencing stress fracture. He had been fleeing King Saul's jealousy for years now. David and his men of 600, along with their families, was being pulled in different directions. They were being pulled apart from within because of the continual pursuit of jealous King Saul.
1 Samuel 27, verses 1 to 7, NLT. But David kept thinking to himself, someday Saul is going to get me. The best thing I can do is escape to the Philistines. Then Saul will stop hunting for me in Israelite territory, and I will finally be safe. So David took his 600 men and went over and joined Achish, son of Maoch, the king of Gath. David and his men and their families settled there with Achish at Gath. David brought his two wives along with him, Ahinoam from Jezreel, and Abigail, Nabal's widow, from Carmel. Word soon reached Saul that David had fled to Gath, so he stopped hunting for them. One day David said to Achish, "If it is all right with you, we would rather live in one of the country towns instead of here in the royal city." So Achish gave him the town of Ziklag, which still belongs to the kings of Judah to this day. And they lived there among the Philistines for a year and 4 months.
Are you like David, exhausted from the despair, pain, anxiety, and grief that has continued because someone is purposely set on discrediting you as an individual and your very existence is continually being threatened? What did David do concerning his stress fracture?
1 Samuel 30, verses 6, 8, and 18 to 20 in LT. David was now in great danger because all his men were very bitter about losing their sons and daughters, and they began to talk of stoning him. But David found strength in the Lord his God. Then David asked the Lord, "Should I chase after this band of raiders? Will I catch them?" And the Lord told him, "Yes, go after them. You will surely recover everything that was taken from you." David got back everything the Amalekites had taken, and he rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, small or great, son or daughter, nor anything else that had been taken. David brought everything back. He also recovered all the flocks and herds, and his men drove them ahead of the other livestock. "This plunder belongs to David," they said.
The God of heaven and earth heard David's cry as he was being pulled apart from within. Do we have the same assurance as David as we seek first God and his divine mercy and grace?
Psalm 56, verses 1, 3, and 8 to 11, Amplified. Be gracious to me, O God, for man has trampled on me. All day long the adversary oppresses and torments me. When I am afraid, I will put my trust and faith in you. You have taken account of my wanderings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not recorded in your book? Then my enemies will turn back in the day when I call. This I know, that God is for me. In God, whose word I praise. In the Lord, whose word I praise. In God have I put my trust and confident reliance. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me?
This concludes our devotional video of Lighthouse KinShip, Stress Fracture. Psalms 34, verses 4 and 7, Amplified. I sought the Lord on the authority of his word. He answered me and delivered me from all my fears. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him with awe-inspired reverence and worship him with obedience, and he rescues each of them.
Monica and I thank you for traveling along with us here today at the Eiffel Tower Park, Paris, Tennessee. It is a 60-foot steel reconstruction of the original Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. Come along and journey with us by subscribing to our channel. Hit that little notification bell so that you won't miss our next stop. And please give us a thumbs up, liking our videos, and help us to share the gospel by sharing these videos on your social media platforms. Thank you for leaving your comments below on how these devotions are helping you, and also your prayer requests so that we know how to pray for you.